Yeah, Moksit, we are live. So, hi everyone, welcome back to our game design channel. So, today we are not doing our regular game design log update for our shooter game. We are trying to do something different. So, today we'll be doing some game breakdown. We are starting a series called Game Design Breakdown. So first game we picked is Elden Ring. We have been playing Elden Ring for a few days. So me and Moxie, we decided that we will do a combat system breakdown for combat design breakdown for Elden Ring game. So Moxie has some Figma files which he can share and discuss like what he had learned from that combat design. Okay, Moxie.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. So basically, we played Elden Ring together, and we wanted to make a new series where we break down the mechanics as Premjit mentioned. And the first game we chose was Elden Ring. Elden Ring, if I had to say, is one of the most difficult games which I have played. Breaking down the mechanics, like to get to every part was the difficult part. So, currently, I've broken down the game into two categories as we were focusing on the combat mechanics. So, the two categories are one was character specific and another was combat specific. And why only these two categories, as in the sense, because in just the combat category, there are so many attacks which you can do in Elden Ring. As you know, Elden Ring is an extremely complicated game, and it has so many mechanics. Like you can use the R key, E key, and there are other mechanics such as you can wall jump, and there's a zone which you have to pass through, etc. So based on that, we have showcased the categories. Premjit, if you can, could you screen share the Figma file? Hello.
Okay, yeah, cool. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, so yeah, this is our Figma board. So the first part is character control and second part is combat specific interaction. So Moksit, you can start
Yeah.
from here.
So as you guys can see that first is the character specific controls. So why you separate character specific controls, as in the sense this only includes which the character can do, which is not related to attacking in any sort of way. It's either like movement or escaping from the enemies or maybe guarding from the enemies. All the mechanics comes under this. So basically the first is the movement. In every game, as you know, like movement is the key in every game. Like you need the character to move, you want the character to feel alive, right? So as in any game, just even in Elden Ring, we use WASD keys to move, and which is the standard for any game. Even in the GIF file, you can see a short like representation of the character moving around. And then if we move on to the dash mechanic is basically run in Elden Ring. So if you tap on the dash button, you can dash for 1 quick second. But if you hold on to it, the character will keep on running for a long time. And the key to dash in Elden Ring is sprint, like shift button. So it will be easier for gamers to control using the WASD key and the shift button easily because they are handled in that way in most of the games. Even in the GIF file, you can see that I was holding down the sprint button there. So instead of just dashing for 1 second, the character is running for a longer duration. Then next, moving onwards, we come to sprint. So basically in Elden Ring, you can move the character in three different ways. If you click on W, the character will run, but it's more like a jog. But if you hold W and then hold shift, the character will dash, but it will be at a higher speed. So sprint is much faster compared to both of these, and you can perform this by holding alternate button. So even in the GIF file, you can see that the character is running at a much higher pace, and this is used to like control the gain the ground much easier and gain ground on your enemies and attack them from behind if possible. I tried it myself many times, but it's extremely difficult. Then, if you move forward to guard mechanics, basically Whenever you get attacked by the enemy, you can't just run away every time. You need to have some mechanism to guard yourself from the enemies. So basically, based on the weapon you are holding, the character will guard accordingly. So like, let's say you are holding a sword right now, and to guard in Elden Ring, the mouse key is right key. Yeah, yeah, RMB, right mouse button. So basically, whenever you hold it, the character will guard from the enemy with the weapon which he is holding right now. It might be a shield, it might be a staff, it might be a sword, etc. So also, it's not just that guarding will be like permanent. So you have a stamina bar. So whenever the play enemy will attack the player, when we are guarding, the stamina bar will decrease, and when the stamina bar will deplete to zero, the character cannot guard again. So that you have to carefully decide when to guard and when to attack and when to run away. So you have to be careful at every occasion. Then jump obstacles is basically the character's basic jump. As in every game, you might have seen like spacebar is the key which is used to jump, and the character will jump accordingly. So in this game, the one more specialty is whenever you encounter an obstacle, let's say a crate or a box, and if you click on jump, the character will perform like a separate animation instead of performing the default jump. Even in the GIF, you could see that character when he jumps on top of the box, he's performing a leaping animation instead of doing a regular jump animation. So that's one of the unique mechanics in Elden Ring. Then moving forwards, we have wall jump. So wall jump mechanics is like, if I had to explain it with an example, I would say Mario is a really good example because they have the mechanics of double jump. But in Elden Ring, double jump only happens when you're in front of a wall. It's almost as if you're leaping from the wall through the second jump. Even in the GIF, you could see I jumped from the floor once, and when I was in contact with the wall, I jumped again. So the character moved even more upwards. So that's another mechanic in wall jump. So moving forwards, the next one, could you scroll there, Renjit? Yeah, thank you. Next mechanic is the lock on mechanics. This is extremely useful in Elden Ring, especially because I am not that pro in Elden Ring. But this feature made me happy because like lock on feature is activated using the scroll button in our mouse, and whenever we press the scroll button, if there are any nearby enemies, our character will lock onto that enemy, and wherever we move, the camera will be locked onto the enemy so that we are always focused on the enemy, and we can always direct our attacks towards that character. So that's another extremely good feature because like if there are tons of enemies and you want to focus on the main boss instead of focusing on the weak links, you can click on the lock on feature. Let's say it doesn't lock on the boss, it will lock on to one of the weak links. Well, you can click on the middle mouse button again, and it will change the enemy which it is locked on to. So that's another good feature, and like using this, you can target your enemies. Then moving forward, knocked out mechanics. Knocked out mechanics, if I have to be honest, I was playing single player, and in single player, it's not at all useful, I would say, unless you have allies. But I had one ally and he got killed, so that was not a good thing. But anyway, if you are playing Elden Ring in multiplayer mode, so basically, whenever you get knocked out in the sense your health is fully depleted, instead of instantly dying, instead of instantly dying, you will be in a knocked out state, and you will have a blue color bar on top of your head. So what that happens is you'll have a timer, and if someone like your friends or the allies comes to you and attacks you before the timer runs out, but it will deplete the blue bar, and once the blue bar is depleted, we will be reborn there. So it's like a revive mechanic. Basically in BGMI or other games, you revive using like holding on to them, and when they are in a knocked out state, this is like a different mechanic where you have to attack the player themselves. So yes. Then moving onwards, we have switch weapons. In switch weapons, so basically in Elden Ring we have multiple attacks, right? As I mentioned, you can have a sword, you can have a shield, you, if you don't have anything, you can use your hands as well to punch. You can kick, you can use a dart to throw, you can use a grappling hook, you can use a staff. So whenever you have multiple weapons in your inventory, you can switch the weapons using your scroll in your mouse will scroll basically. So this will allow like various combat advantages. Let's say you are attacking using a staff, which is a ranged weapon, right? And suddenly the enemies or the boss comes to you, like extremely close to you. You can immediately switch to your sword or switch to your shield and immediately attack back. So that's another really good feature, holding on to multiple weapons. Now coming on to consumables. Consumables is basically you will have different type of potions in your inventory, and whenever you, let's say you have less health and you want to regenerate your health. In order to regenerate your health, you can drink the potion and then you can regenerate your health. Basically, and the button to drink the consumable is R. And it's not that you can only regenerate your health points in this. At the bottom of the health points, you have two other bars: stamina bar and focus bar. Focus bar is basically used whenever you do magic attacks on the enemies, and stamina is used whenever you run too much or whenever you get attacked by the enemy while you're guarding. You can regenerate even those by using consumables. And but though finding these consumables is really like you have to search for a really long time among like rummage crates, etc. Then comes the q skill. Like as I mentioned, Elden Ring has many attacks, many defenses, many skills which you can use, and among that, Q skill is one of the skill which you can use. By default, our character's Q skill will be the shield. So whenever we press Q, he will just perform a normal basic action of attacking with the shield. Instead of guarding with the shield, he's just attacking. Another in the current gif which you are seeing, you can see the character attacking with the shield, but there are different q skills. Basically you have kick skill. So whenever weaklings comes towards you, you can perform the q skill and you can kick at the enemy, and they will go a little further from you. So basically you can say they are stunned for like 1 to 2 seconds, and in that 1 to 2 seconds you can attack them. So this is basically the use of q skill to stun the enemies for a really short duration, extremely short. Then again, as I said, q skill switch. Q skill switch is basically switching your q skill. As I said, you can have different q skills, right? Different q skills, as in the sense you can have a kick or you can have the shield. By default, those are the two which are provided. If you roam around the map for a really long time, you can like enhance, like you can get newer weapons. But I was a noob at this game, so I just use the default weapons for now, as I was just doing the breakdown. So in order to switch between the shield and the kick, you have to hold q and then scroll your mouse so that it will switch between the skills. So this is one of the advantages of q skills. This can come under the combat mechanics attack, but most of them is as it is used for stunning the character and not mainly damaging the enemy. Yeah, I have put it under the character mechanics. Then if you go on to the next one, f interact. So this in every game you can see that there will be some interaction buttons which will be available in the games. Let's say in some games it will be e button to open a door or e to collect food items. In this game, f is to interact. F button is used to interact with all the items. So what are the interactions which you can do in Elden Ring? As far as I've seen, you can either open chests, and you can pull levers deactivating traps if you want to go to some location, or else if you want to talk to the npcs as well, you can use the f button. Then moving forwards, rescue allies. As I said before, whenever you are knocked down, like a blue bar will appear in on top of us, and our allies or teammates have to attack us in order before the timer ends, so that we can be reborn there. This is basic. This is the same thing, but switched roles. So we are the ones who are we are the ones who are attacking, and our ally is the one who's knocked out. So they'll have a timer and they'll have a blue bar, and before that timer runs out we have to attack them so that they can be reborn. So we basically have to revive them. So these are all the default character mechanics which was present in Elden Ring currently. Now we can move on forwards with combat mechanics. Combat mechanics includes all the attacks which we can do using the character. So here also I have divided it into three parts. So basically, first is the basic, then is the not actually three parts, four parts, my bad. So basic, E ability, R ability, and Q ability again. As I said before, Q ability is basically used to stun, but at the same time they could be used to attack. So I put it again here. So let's start from the first one, basic attack. So basic attack, by default we are given a sword as our weapon. So attack is done by using the left mouse button, and whenever we click the left mouse button, the character performs a animation according to the weapon which is holding. So in the GIF you can see it's just doing a normal sword strike. So that's one of the attacks which you can do. Then then comes combo attacks. Combo attacks is basically clicking the left mouse button multiple times so that he can combo the attack, and the last attack will be extremely deadly. So that if you time it right, you can kill the enemy in one combo attack. But the chances of this is happening is extremely less because the enemies will be moving, right? So you might miss them and you might be attacking the hair, so it won't be of any use. So that's another issue with this. In the GIF, let's see if it plays or not. uh, uh, in the GIF you can see, currently it's just an image. Yeah, in the GIF you can see that the character is attacking with some combos, and if you could see it, like the last attack is extremely dangerous because he does like a heavy attack. I have not explained heavy attack yet, but at the end of every combo attack, the last attack will be the heavy attack. Moving forwards, we have the heavy attack. So basically, when you perform a normal attack using the left mouse button, he will perform a normal sword strike and it will do some amount of damage. But heavy attack can be done using clicking on the control button and the left mouse button, and he will do a heavy swing attack which will do more damage. But the problem with this is it will take time for him to recover. So during that time to recover, if you have missed the enemy will be attacking us. So we have to be careful when to use heavy attacks. Otherwise, you can just use combo attacks or normal attacks to hit the enemy. Then comes alternate weapon attack. So basically, I explained how you can have different weapons, right? So one of the weapons which I found, somehow I got lucky, even though I was new. So I found a staff. So this staff was one of the not one of the default weapons which was provided, and it was a ranged weapon. So basically, whenever you attack with that, a normal attack would also do a ranged attack, but it would take some of my health as well because the staff was cursed. So we have to be careful based on the staff weapons which we collect. Some might be cursed, some might be boosted with power ups, and some might be normal. So we have to check all those into we have to take all those into consideration. Then moving forwards with heavy ranged attack. So that, as I said, every weapon has a heavy attack, right? The sword had a heavy swing attack which did more damage. Similarly, in this staff, the heavy ranged attack was that it will perform three magic. It will like shoot three magic pellets towards the enemies, and this was extremely useful because it was a ranged attack, and on top of it, it didn't reduce my health. But the issue with this is it also has a like huge casting time, so that during casting, if you do not hit the enemy might kill you. So you have to be careful and decide when to use the heavy ranged attack. So these are the basic attacks which you can perform with the weapons. Moving forwards, we have the E ability attack. Could you move to the E abilities? Yeah, thanks. So basically, by default, our character is provided with a grappling hook as our weapon for the E ability, and you can use this grappling hook in different scenarios. for let's say in the first scenario I've mentioned small enemies. Like if you lock onto an enemy and if you use the grappling attack, and if they are small enough, like small enough as in same size as our character, the enemy will get pulled towards us and they'll be stunned for like a brief duration, like let's say 1 to 1.5 seconds. And during that duration you can slam them with a heavy attack or a normal attack and then finish them off. So this is another useful use case for the E ability. But the issue with the E ability is once you use it will take some time to reload. So basically you can use the E ability once every 3 seconds or 5 seconds. You can't spam the E ability. Then another use case for E ability is with the big bosses. So as I said, if the size of the enemy is same as us, they'll get pulled towards us, right? But if the size of the enemy is extremely big, let's say he's a huge boss, instead of the enemy boss getting pulled towards us, we'll get pulled towards the boss, and the boss won't be stunned because he's of a higher level. So that's one of the issues. So you have to be careful not to accidentally grapple the big boss. Otherwise you will be grappled into his attack range and you will be like incinerated quickly. Then another use case of the E ability is, let's say there are different kinds of enemies, right? There are enemies who attack with swords. There are enemies who attack with ranged weapons such as magic or bow. So like let's say you are getting attacked by an enemy from a tower who's at a longer distance. Pranjit, could you go to the bridge gaps E ability GIF? I'm explaining that right now. So whenever, let's say the uh, enemy is on the bridge and there's a gap between you, so that if you fall in the gap you will die, but you can't kill the enemy as well because you don't have a ranged weapon. That's one of the use cases. So you can use the E ability to pull the enemy through the gap and towards you. And you can also tease it in such a way that whenever you pull the enemy, he doesn't get pulled fully and he falls into the gap. You can make it such in such a way. So that's one of the use cases. Then if you move on to the next one, E ability guarded. E ability guarded in the sense even the enemies can guard themselves, right? It's not that they'll always be taking our hits. So whenever let's say we used our E ability by locking onto them and they guarded it, then they won't get pulled towards us. Instead, they'll just block it and they'll stay at the same location. So we have to go to them and kill them ourselves. Then E ability with no enemies. No enemies as in the sense, let's say you haven't locked on to any one of the enemies, and but you have the E ability. So whenever you spam the E ability, whenever there's no enemies, the grappling hook will lock onto the ground in front of you, and you'll just immediately dash towards that direction as if you are getting pulled towards that. Even in the GIF, you can see you even leave a dust trail behind you, showcasing that you are getting pulled towards that direction in a huge force. So this will be extremely useful. Like let's say you are doing a boss fight and he is hitting you with this heavy damage, so you can instantly escape from his range using this E ability. So yeah, these are all the use cases of the E abilities. We can move on forward with the Q ability right now. So yeah, as I mentioned before, by default, two abilities are given to you, Q abilities, which is the kick and the shield. As you can see, the kick will perform a normal kick and it will stun the enemy for 1.1 second to 2 seconds. And you during that time you can again attack him to finish him off. But one of the problem with this is, like, you during the heat of the battle you cannot like see whether the kick is activated or whether the shield is activated. So before the fight you have to be careful and check whether your kick is active or shield is active, because in some cases, let's say you want to kick but your shield was active, so you accidentally used your shield attack and the enemy did not get stunned, let's say, and he'll attack you. So you have to be careful with this. Next is the shield. As I performed, he will perform a shield attack with his left hand, and that attack will push the enemy back a little. So kick will basically stun the enemy, and shield will basically push back the enemy. In that, you can see I'm performing a basic attack. I couldn't perform it on top of an enemy because like I had to be extremely accurate. Then moving on forwards with the last ability, which is the R ability, and this is the ultimate ability. This was actually so hard for me to perform because you have to charge your ability before you can even use it, and in order to charge it you have to defeat many enemies continuously without dying, and I couldn't do this. Luckily Premji performed it and he has sent me the video regarding this, so I could do the breakdown. So by default, the R ultimate attack is the fire damage attack. So whenever you recharge it fully, and if you click on the R button, it will perform a AoE damage attack, which will do a fire punch attack, and it will attack all. It will damage all the enemies who are in front of you. So you can use this to like attack a crowd of enemies at the same time, and it will do heavy damage as well. So you can escape with this attack really easily. So these are all the combat mechanics and the character mechanics which we had broken down so far. And yeah, this is done for now.
Okay. Thank you, Moxit. Now you can
Yeah.
drink some water.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I think you have done really well. So next game we are targeting is GTA 5 before the release of GTA 6 next year, right?
Yeah.
So this is our first video for game design breakdown. We'll be continuing more with other games, starting with GTA 5 from next. So we'll have a series of features, mechanics, controls, system breakdown for GTA 5. Then we'll go to the next game. But before that, we want to cover everything for GTA 5. We'll take
Just so the people know, Elden Ring, what we have done the breakdown currently might seem really less compared to like the amount of mechanisms present in the game. But our focus was on this video was to showcase to the people that we are starting out with this playlist explaining the game breakdown mechanics, and our main goal will be to perform the game design breakdown on GTA 5. So we'll be breaking down everything in GTA 5, starting starting from the characters, the map, the cars, the vehicles, the environment,
guns.
the lighting, the guns. Everything will be included. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, cool. So let's say bye to everyone, and we'll come back again tomorrow with our shooter game.
Yeah. Thank you guys everyone. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video.
Yes.
GTA 5 will be coming soon. Even we have to install it in our systems.
Yeah, and we need
Even
to like
yeah.
space up little bit about that game.
Yeah, it's extremely huge game.
Yeah.
So before GTA 6 comes out, we are planning on like making majority of the breakdowns for GTA 5, and we'll see moving forwards what will happen.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.